Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Cyberdeck Podcast, the official Cyberpunk Trading Card Game podcast. My name is Kawa. I'm joined by Burza, and we are your hosts of this show. This is our very first episode. We're very excited to be here. So before we get into it and start, talking about some of the new cards that are being showed off on social media, Burza, why don't you give yourself a bit of an introduction to the audience?
First of all, I'm extremely happy to be here, and I'm extremely happy that we're actually doing this because it's been a long time coming. We're thinking about doing a podcast format for the card game, and we're both super excited for it. So my name is Paweł Burza, but everybody just calls me Burza or Burza. I am a senior communications manager at CD Projekt Red. It's my 11th year within the company.
Wow.
Yeah, it's been a long time.
Time.
Out of those, 7 out of those 11 were actually spent on Gwent, the Witcher card game. So the multiplayer version of Gwent that we did. So I worked there on the communication side, on the esports side, pretty much on all sides. And it was incredible, and I'm happy that we're partnering now with WeirdCo, which you're from, Kawa, and that we're able to do once again a video format where we get to talk about the card game, we get to nerd out about it, and it's super exciting that we can do it. So yeah, that's me in a nutshell. But I've also been a card game player for the last, I don't know how many years. I started in middle school. And then it went on from that point on till now.
Yeah, I'm still playing and still a very good player. It was so funny when we came.
I would say.
I think so.
Great.
When we came over to visit you guys, you were instantly like, where are the cards? Where are the cards? I want to get my hands on them. And it was such a fun time. Obviously, we got to visit the CDPR head office, and we did our big Red stream episode, which was awesome. But yeah, so much to talk about for the TCG, but I'll give a little bit of a background on myself as well for those of you who may not know.
Of course.
My name is Kawa, or Cree is my real name, and I'm the community and content manager at WeirdCo. So I'm responsible for all the reveals that you guys see on social media, on Discord, on Kickstarter. So, speaking of Kickstarter, we're leading up to that at the moment. We're 2 weeks out, but a lot of my
close.
Yeah, for sure. A lot of my background comes from both the digital card game world and the physical card game world. So, most recently, before joining WeirdCo, I'd casted professionally on a few kind of competitive circuits within TCGs. So very well experienced on that side. And I used to do podcasts for the TCGs as well. So I'm very happy that I'm kind of coming back to do something that I feel familiar with and comfortable with. We get to do it on this awesome new project.
And also something you like, I would say, right? Because once you do a podcast, you always want to do more, right?
For sure, yeah. It's the format I really enjoy as well. It's kind of keeping the flow and being able to talk, I guess, at length about these awesome cards. So yeah, I guess before we get into it, as I did mention, we have our Kickstarter coming up. It's just shy of 2 weeks away. So if you guys aren't aware of it already, be sure to follow our pre-launch page. And then if you back the campaign once it goes live on March 17th at 9 a.m. PT, you'll be able to be eligible to claim a free Foil Nova Rare Lucy card. Now, that will be, sent with your Kickstarter order whenever that gets fulfilled. But it's a very cool kind of promotional item that we want to give back to the community for, giving us that bit of early support. So, yeah, Burza, how are you feeling?
Congrats on the 40K followers on Kickstarter. That's incredible, right?
It just keeps going up every day. It's wild. Yeah, it's wild. I think I never really knew, where we would land, but 40K pre-launch page before the campaign's even live.
That's crazy, right?
Yeah, very grateful to the community for coming out and for supporting the game. And it's clear that people are excited. People want to see more. So, do you think we should give them some more, Burza? Do you think we should talk about some of these cards?
I mean, of course. I was just gonna say one thing. One thing you forgot to mention. We have a mutual friend. We actually have one friend, my close friend, which is Ryan, who has been working with me on Gwent, is a friend of yours. So yes. I actually, before we met through the collaboration between CD PROJEKT RED and WeirdCo.
Yes.
I actually was introduced to you by our friend Ryan. So Ryan, if you're watching this, hello. Ryan's awesome.
Ryan is awesome indeed. I actually thought, I'm not gonna lie, I thought you were talking about Spessy.
Spessy's also a mutual friend. True.
Yes.
Yeah.
Shout out to Spessy, absolute legend within the card game world. But
the card game world is kind of like its own world within a world, I would say. Like if you know one person, you probably know another person, and they all kind of come together and you're like, oh, this person is from this card game, this person is from this card game. But they're all part of this like one card game space that we're all part of.
It's really nice.
Really, really cool.
It's really nice because I see people from, people who used to play Gwent, and maybe I didn't play that much Gwent before, but then from other kind of digital card games, and people moving into new physical TCGs as well. We're already seeing some awesome content creators pop up for our games. So that's one thing I want to preface as well, is if you guys watching are interested in creating content about the game, I handle a lot of our creator relationships too. So big or small, I want to help you guys grow with the game. So please feel free to make some videos, share some content. And we'll be able
to tag
to
us, let us know. Yeah. Like we want to see it all. Everything.
For sure. We can grow together.
Totally.
So yeah, okay. Moving into things, by the time this episode releases, we will have shown off, I think, 6 brand new cards. So I guess we'll just we'll take it from the top here. Burza, do you want to read out our first card that we have?
Yes. Everything started in the beginning of March 1st. This was a Sunday. I remember it like it was yesterday. Spoiler alert, it kind of was. And we showed for the first time River Ward, Detective on the Hunt. So you'll be seeing this card right now. And he is, of course, a legend. And he has this ability that when you call him, how do you call a legend? Well, you need to spend 2 eddies or 2 resources within the game. And when you call him, you draw a card. And then when a unit attacks, which also has this is being spent, so it has that thing on the card. Choose a gear from your hand with cost 2 or less. Equip it for free to a friendly yellow unit with no equipped gears.
Yes, very, very interesting. I'm going to do my best to try and give context to this card with the cards that have been revealed to the best of my ability. But one thing I want to point out is, we had the Alpha Kit experience, which was, a great way to teach the basics of our game, to get to grips with the mechanics and the system.
Now we're getting more into it, right? Like more in the in-betweens, as I like to call it.
Indeed. And to be honest, one of the big things we heard from the Alpha Kit, and it makes sense, was a few people wanted to have a little bit more interaction, right? For example, we had Floret within the Alpha Kit, which was a very interactive card.
Yes.
So the Alpha Kit experience, right? There's a little bit of interactivity there, but the really cool thing about this River Ward card is how this card's worded currently is it's basically, it says when a unit attacks. It's not when a rival unit attacks. So if you are the one doing the attack and you have River Ward left ready as an eddy to spend, right? You can spend them during the attack, and then you could choose a gear from your hand, equip it to a friendly yellow unit if it has no gears. But then also on the flip side, if your opponent declares an attack on one of your spent units, and again on your opponent's turn, if you have this River Ward ready, you can spend him, and to kind of boost or try to save your unit from the attack, you can equip a gear. So I already love the versatility and the flexibility of this legend card.
Yeah, it's kind of the thing that you mentioned. Like players have been asking for more interaction in between like phases within the game. So there is a phase where you ready your eddies, where you spend them, and then when you play cards, and then you move to your attack step.
Yes.
So that point on, like they wanted more things to kind of happen, and also the unpredictability in some sense, or the thing that, okay, there are triggers that can happen, because you know how it is in card games. If you have multiple triggers or different things that you can do, you sometimes forget about them, but there are things that good players always do, is they know how to trigger and stack things so they work the way that you want. So yeah, this is really cool. It's a pretty cool flavor also with the gear. I also like that some of the iconic characters that from Cyberpunk 2077, well, they have abilities that kind of play with who they are in the universe or in the game. So I really appreciate those little kind of nods to the game. Yeah,
for sure. Yeah, and I think there's a lot of, as I said, there's a lot of really cool. I just like how you can use this card basically offensively and defensively, right?
Defensively,
depending on the situation, and this gives you a reason to maybe save one of your eddies as you pass over to your opponent's turn, right? Like usually in card games, you want to be what's known as like resource efficient, so spend as many of your resources as possible. But cards like this give you a reason to want to kind of leave one up in in anticipation of what your opponent might do.
Not always going with the curve, like everybody's like, you got to use all your resources, got to keep the curve going and stuff like that. Especially that here you're actually selling cards which you're gonna be reusing as resources. So it's super important also to mine these things. And most of the times when you're kind of selling things, you're thinking about, okay, I need to sell a gear because that is something that I have either multiples of, or they're not maybe as important as some units that I'm going to need as bodies to do the damage. So, and actually claim your opponent's gigs. So yeah, totally.
Yeah, I think one legend that some folks were already talking about in our community that kind of pairs quite well with River is Victor, right? So Victor in the Alpha Kit experience Victor. At least was when you called him, you can notice a difference. We had like flip where call is now, basically. So call will essentially be replacing that. To my knowledge, at least, the devs can correct me if I'm wrong. But that's an example of a card that combos quite well with River. It allows you to find, one of those gear pieces that you may need. And there's even a really interesting situation. I'm exploring my mind, and I have to kind of ask the devs questions about this. But if you have open eddies, and you happen to flip if you happen to call a Victor, you can then search your deck and you can kind of get that. As you said, depending on the windows, maybe that even allows you to then, using the gear you found from the Victor, then you can use that gear with the River. I'm not going to confirm that's how it works, but you can see the idea of how some of these cards can kind of combo.
That's how I would see it. If you sequence it properly and you have River flipped from the previous turn, then this could be possible. Yeah.
Exactly.
Fun. Complexity within card games, right?
Yeah,
I love it.
Indeed. So I guess the cool thing about a card like this is as we start to reveal more gear cards, then the possibilities of this get very, very interesting. I think we've got like, the basic Mantis Blades, we've got the Mandibular Upgrade. Mandibular Upgrade is an example of one which is cool, which is, you can give it the blocker, the Kuroshi Optics, as you mentioned as well.
Yeah.
So lots of different options on this card. But yeah, let's move on to the next card here. So we got another legend card for you guys. This is Goro Takamura, Vengeful Bodyguard. So we have already seen a previous Goro legend, but this is a new Goro legend. And this art, I have to say, is absolutely phenomenal. This is by Panda Art Studio. Really, really nice. I know you're a fan of these guys, right? They do some really nice illustrations.
I'm a big fan. The work that they do, it's just like it has two things. It has the realism, but also has this like softness to the arts that they do, which is like super nice. They like, whenever I heard that they're gonna be doing art for the card game, I was like, sign me up. I'm sold. Yeah. For
sure. So
and this is a green card. You want me to read the text?
Go ahead, please.
Yeah, so call, ready this legend. And when a rival unit attacks, if you have a pair of same-sided gigs, give a friendly unit with cost 4 or less +1 power and blocker this turn. Ooh, nice.
Yeah. So a little bit of text to kind of walk through, but the first thing that you notice is, if you spend 2 eddies and you happen to call Goro, he will ready himself. So in a sense, you've actually technically only spent 1 eddy to do that if you do hit the Goro, which is really, really nice to see. And this is an example of where text matters. There's a difference in text here. This is when a rival unit attacks, not whenever any rival or whenever any unit attacks. Again, this is the spend symbol. So if you have a pair of same-sided gigs, it's basically if I have 2 D4s, if I have 2 D6s, 2 D12s, then you can basically buff up one of your units slightly and also give it blocker, which is pretty impactful, to be honest, because if they want to hit you directly to try and steal one of your gigs, you can kind of use this in response to essentially redirect the attack. So this is the type of legend that your opponent always has to respect, I feel like, in my opinion.
I'm also happy that it actually focuses more on the gigs, because it's important to have, like, I feel like this was feedback that was coming from some of the players, that they were saying like, okay, the dice, they need to have like play a big part of the gameplay experience, because this is the way how you win or lose the game. So by obtaining gigs, and actually utilizing the numbers on the dice is super important in this case. And I feel like players wanted more and more things to have cards that actually play with the dice. So perfect. This is really, really cool. And blocker is, as we know, blocker is very important.
Blocker is one of the most powerful keywords in the game so far, right? Which is, it's super, super impactful. And I want to touch on something you mentioned there about gigs, right? So this is one of the angles we can take with gigs, which is, if you basically have the same type of gig, there's places to explore where if cards have similar values on the gig. So let's say I have a 4 on my D4 and I have a 4 on my D6, that could mean something potentially in the future. We already see, street cred gets impacted as well. So like more or less street cred potentially. So lots of different angles. I think that's very, very important, that we can have so many different interactions with the type of gigs that enter the field. But yeah, super cool card. And I'm excited to see how people are able to utilize it moving forward.
Yeah, really, really cool. Next up, you want to go to the next one?
Yes, please.
All right, we have this time a yellow program, After Party at Lizzie's. So this is a brain dance card and a mox. So this is interesting. Brain dance. I would keep an eye out for that one. Adjust a rival gig by up to +2.
Yes.
Then if a friendly gig has the same value, draw a card.
Yeah. So something to point out on this card is how this is written is actually, so you're able to adjust a rival gig by basically up to +2 or up to -2. So you can -2 it, or you can
it's
+2
plus or
it.
minus. Yeah.
So basically, I think this is a super flexible card, because if your opponent cares about having a lot of street cred, you can, reduce that. If they care for some reason about having less street cred, you can adjust that. And then ultimately, you're just trying to find the correct value that works for you so that you're able to draw cards. So very, very simple card. You interact with your opponent's gigs a little bit, and if it's the right value, then you're essentially able to draw a card. But yeah, you put a note there on the brain dance tag, and I think the only tag we've really seen that has been an impact so far from the advocate was the Arasaka tag, right? So, there was the Saburo that friendly attacking Arasaka units got +1 power. So, keep an eye out on these tags, I'll say, because these are definitely important. Something to note as well, the 2 legends that we saw, they were just two RAM legends. This is a 2 RAM card as well. So as we continue throughout the card reveal season, be sure to keep an eye on that RAM value, because that will indicate, the strength of a card, in my opinion. If you see, a 6 RAM card or even a 4 RAM card, you really recognize that, there has to be basically a restriction put in place to how many legends you can pair with these cards, which is very interesting.
Yeah, and also deck building restrictions are super important, as you probably know if you're watching this, because you're most likely a card game fanatic like we are. And it's important to balance. One of the things that when it comes to balancing, you either do cost or you do power, but the other thing is actually how you built your deck. So you pretty much need to think about how much RAM in order to not have just throwing in most OP cards into your deck and thinking that's going to work, because there needs to be some restrictions. So yeah, like how I just mentioned, the ones that have a higher RAM cost, of course, are most likely going to be stronger cards. But then we'll see let's say the first tournaments that we ever do, if we do, then they will kind of tell us what's OP and what's not. Sometimes it's just the simple cards that have crazy effects that do the work. And I also feel like this is one of those cards that lets you draw a card, and I feel like drawing cards is always good. So yeah, and I like the +- I actually didn't notice that it was -2. I thought it was up to +2. But then this also opens up some shenanigans, like you said, for just taking costs down for your opponent and kind of messing up their game plan, which is always fun, because I know some people like to kind of interact more with their opponents instead of just trying to be, let's say, an aggressive deck that wants
Sure.
to just go. Yeah.
Sure, you can like interrupt their game plan. Like for example, let's say, we saw the Jackie Legend from the Alpha Kit that when you play a blue unit or a blue gear, you can increase a friendly gig by 2, and if it's max, you get to draw a card. So if you play this and they're able to, I don't know, change a D6 that's on 4 down to a 2, then they can no longer do that ability, right? So that's just a one example of
they're already messing up their plan a little bit, which sometimes is the little bit that you need in order to get more gigs and actually just win the game.
Yeah. Speaking about the RAM stuff, I'll give a little bit of a story. Which was we were doing some internal tournaments and playtesting and stuff. You're not gonna get too much out of me.
No, he's just gonna brag that he won the tournament.
I may have won 1 or 2 tournaments, but no, that wasn't the point I wanted to say.
That's why you're mentioning it. I know.
Sure. The point that I wanted to raise was, basically, it's interesting that like how important the RAM values are, right? When I kind of go to build a deck. I always try to just build, okay, I think this card is really strong. I think this card is really strong. And then I quickly realize, our designers are doing a good job because the RAM values don't allow me to play certain cards together and stuff. So it's just like another lever for the design team to pull when it comes to balancing cards. And I think it's a really cool thing about our game. And I'm looking forward to see how players are able to navigate that, to be honest.
Yeah, we'll see some crazy builds from people for sure.
Yeah. All right, go ahead and read this next card out for us there.
I was going to say this is by far my favorite art, but I feel like every art that I see is my favorite art, and it changes kind of with each reveal that we do. But this is Evelyn Parker, Beautiful Enigma. She's, of course, a doll. If you play Cyberpunk, you know that. Once again, Panda Art Studio bringing it in clutch with this one.
Yep.
Yeah. So she has call, decrease arrival gigs value by 3. Interesting.
Not too bad.
And then when you spend her, search to top 3 cards of your deck for up to 1 brain dance program added to your hand. Bottom deck the rest.
So we did just see a brain dance program, right? We did just see an exact example of a brain dance program. So these 2 cards, they work well together. Evelyn allows you to filter through your deck, try to find that perfect brain dance program that you may need. Evelyn being in blue will mean that there will be, this is kind of an example of course, there'll be brain dance cards within blue, but there are also brain dance cards outside of blue, for example, in yellow. So it encourages you to play a variety of different colors, a variety of different legends, etc. But I think this card is just pretty strong, to be honest. And even that allows you to consistently kind of filter. Like you think about, the interesting thing to think about for legends, because you can use them as a resource, is when it has the tap symbol, it's basically just saying pay 1 eddy to do this effect, if that makes sense. And for 1 eddy to filter through 3 cards and potentially pick out the one that I need is pretty strong. But then I know some mathematicians from other TCGs who'll be like, what's the optimal amount of brain dance cards I should play if I'm playing Evelyn Parker, right? So I'm sure we'll get some of those. People are already doing the math. I can already tell the viewers.
Of course, come on. They're already taking this card apart. Yeah, but I like once again, I feel like it's adding a little bit more depth to the game. Like you said, you need to spend the card in order to activate the ability, which I think is super cool. And then you're able to search with deck filtering, as we all know, is super important in any card game. So if you're looking for one specific brain dance card that is going to help you do something that you have planned, or is part of like a combo that you're planning for a given turn, perfect. Like Evelyn is the way to go. And also I would say like just having the ability to decrease a rival gig by 3 value is pretty big, because 3 is a lot, especially if you're somewhere in the game where you're still using, let's say, the lower dices, and you're kind of like, if you have a D6, you're taking it down from a 6 to a 3, which can be super important. Especially in a deck that wants to like have the gigs kind of at the highest possible value, like we were just talking before. So I think she's cool, and I'm kind of seeing like with the blue color, I feel like there might be some shenanigans here, and kind of some manipulation within the game, but we'll see more once we show more.
Yeah, it's true. It's maybe there's some program stuff in blue as well. We saw the likes of Florida and stuff, which was a super powerful program. To your point about decreasing the rival's gig, I think it's a very simple ability, but it can't go. It can be quite impactful. Like, again, you'll see as we start to reveal a lot more cards, but there are definitely decks that care about having not only a high amount of street cred, but have a high, just like high gigs in general, right? So this could be something that really disrupts your opponent once you guys see a couple more pieces of the card pool. But yeah, and I also want to just quickly note like a interesting kind of balancing tool here. So we saw like 3 different call effects between the River, between the Goro, and between the Evelyn. The River was able to just draw a card, which is great. You just get a card. The Goro actually readies himself, it makes sense for that type of card because you want to use it when you're kind of interacting in combat. And for this card, it doesn't have that ability, but you could imagine how strong this card would be if it had that ability, right? If the call here was you get to ready this, then you would instantly be able to search. So it's like, again, showing a little bit of the balancing there, in my opinion.
That'd be a bit too crazy if you could do it all in one turn. I'd be like, okay, that's a bit too much.
You could really search for like the perfect card. But super, super interesting. All right, this next card, my God.
That art.
The art on this card, this is by Top Dog, I believe. It's just unbelievable. This is one of the first gear cards that we're showing off within card reveal season. This is Gorilla Arms, so it's a 4-cost yellow gear card. It has 4 RAM, so again, that's something to notice. It's not the basic 2 RAM, it is 4 RAM. When you can equip it to a unit or a face-up legend, it gives +4 power. But the interesting effect is the first time this unit steals a gig each turn, you may steal a rival gig with the same number of sides. That's pretty important. This basically, like, okay, to try and explain the power level of this card is like, okay, let's say we put this on a 2 power card, right? It gets to 6, that's good, but a 6 is already basically acting like a 10 because it's taking 2 potentially. Obviously, this is all dependent on if your opponent has 2 D4s, 2 D6s, etc.
Yeah.
But if for some reason you're able to get this to 10 and your opponent has 2 D4s and 2 D6s, you can imagine you're stealing a lot of gigs that way, right? So totally. And the cards we saw just previously, like they were actually cards that also interacted with the gigs. So you're kind of manipulating the numbers, and this time you could probably be manipulating those numbers for yourself in your favor, so you can actually have the possibility to get an additional gig, which, as you know, like is kind of like, even with people who play the alpha kit, they saw if I get a unit to 10 or more, I'm able to actually take 2, which is really, really big already. And here you don't need to have that 10, but you can still, if the math checks out, have the possibility of stealing 2 gigs, which is crazy. And it's +4, which I feel like is a lot and is actually a pretty good gear. And it's a 4/4, so I feel like, it pretty
checks
strong.
out.
Yeah, pretty strong. I'm curious to see how people are going to be able to use a card like this. And this is the example of, once we get into really seeing what decks look like, if you think your opponent is playing a deck that has Gorilla Arms, that may impact what gigs you want to take from your opponent. You'll actually try to avoid taking gigs with the same sides, matching types basically, and try to go for other ones. But then the weird thing is, what if that's your game plan? What if you actually want to take them, but then this is like the anti card, right? You know, which is quite interesting. The card to combat that. So super, super cool.
And this is a very powerful upgrade in Cyberpunk. And if you're creating like a street kid and you want to create a strong solo, then most likely you're taking Gorilla Arms. And it also plays with this power fantasy. But I also want to say the art is just like crazy. It's like so the gonk good. That is getting smashed with the Gorilla Arms is just like, it's done for.
It's so good. But the final reveal, which
is a big one.
Yeah, I actually don't know when we're going to be releasing this, but there's a chance we could release this exactly when this card is. So people might be watching this with us, but please do the honors of announcing this beast of a card.
Oh man, it's the antagonist himself, Adam Smasher, metal over meat. I love the tagline here, metal over meat. He's Arasaka Merc, of course. He's a legend in Night City. He's the boogeyman. He's everybody like fears of Adam Smasher. And I feel like, here it's going to be the same thing. He is a unit. He costs 9, but he has 15 power, which is, I feel, the strongest thing that we have seen.
Yep.
I mean, within the card game space. And he on play has defeat all other units, which feels like a crazy, crazy board wipe.
This card is just bonkers. It's absolutely bonkers. And you can quickly see, though, we talked about some of that balancing. This is a 5 yellow ram card. So that does mean, out of what we've seen so far, you would have to play a mono yellow deck. But that in itself is really cool, in my opinion. It gives you a reason to want to play a mono yellow deck, right?
Would you say this is like a win condition, like end of game, something that you're going to like push the tide of the game and kind of also catch up to what's happening in terms of board states and stuff like that?
It's very interesting. So a card like this can be very menacing in card games. Obviously, yeah, this costs 9. So in my opinion, you're gonna have to have some type of way to, I don't know, like maybe cheat this out somehow. If there's some effect to reduce its cost, or if there's some effect to
spoilers.
gain some
I hear spoilers
extra
here,
eddies.
like,
I actually,
how to play cards earlier? Is there like a ramp strategy that might happen?
Ramp? I don't know what ramp is. I don't know what that term means. No, I mean, yeah, but it would be like, realistically, it would be one of those two, because 9 is a lot, and it's only going to be at the very end of the game where this is actually going to be making an impact. But it's interesting because, yeah, this is the type of card that, as it comes down, it has so much impact, and then it's going to be able to swing to get through kind of 2 more stuff. But it's still the interesting thing to me is, let's say you play this and you wipe the board, you're getting ready to kind of steal 2 of your opponent's gigs next turn. Your opponent can still answer with a couple of different things, right? Like they can play the secondhand Bombus, for example. A Bombus could stop Adam Smasher in the key
He can
moment.
block him. I don't know how that would look like in real life, like a secondhand Bombus trying to stop this guy that's kind of almost, it's just more cybernetics than man left in that guy. But
it's a pretty powerful Bombus to stop it. I can just imagine it's Smasher just has to like swat it away, just with one hand.
Go away. And he's too busy doing that, so he forgets about attacking and doing anything.
He forgets to complete the gig. Yeah, exactly.
But it's crazy. Like, and I feel like, a lot of players kind of love these type of strategies where you just have tall units for a tall cost, and you're trying to kind of, play things which, you get, for a big cost, you just get the big amount of power. Then let's say even if your opponent blocks the Bombus, you go to the next turn, maybe you're able to buff it even more. Now it's going up to 20. If it's going up to 20, it's taking more gigs. Like, there's so many like possibilities here. And yeah, I mean, it's also cool because it is an iconic character within the Cyberpunk universe, and he's known from 2077, and he's also known from Edge Runners. So if you know Smasher, even if you don't play card games, like, this will be a chase card for the character himself, because he is the boogeyman.
This piece alone is just gorgeous. Yeah, this is one of the cards I want to open in once I get my hand on some packs, man. First few packs. Oh, give me Adam Smasher metal over me. This is awesome. Yeah, we've seen
the arts for Smasher. I think they were showcased sometime in either Jan or Feb.
Yes.
That you guys posted on socials, and I remember when you showed them, I saw the comments section. Everybody's like, "Oh, here he is, Smasher! I was waiting for this card. Like, give me this one. It looks amazing." And it's also cool because it's not only like, the card game players, but what I'm super excited about is actually, people who I know from the Cyberpunk community who played the game and love it and know everything about it. They're excited for the cards, for the collectability aspect, which makes me even more like stoked on this. And the art, like, trust me, the art is so good. So kudos to the team, because yeah, like, it's incredible, and people see it. Like, people see that the art is just crazy. So yeah.
We just finished art reveal season. Now we're getting into seeing the actual cards with the text, but the art's still popping. The art will continue to pop. So yeah, absolutely insane looking card. But yeah, that'll do it pretty much for our cards for the first week of reveals, pretty much. Yeah, how are you feeling? As like, it's geez, like, we're getting closer and closer to the Kickstarter. We're gonna have more and more cards to reveal, more things to talk about, and yeah, just more excitement overall. So yeah, tell me how you're feeling, Burza, right now.
No, I'm just, I'm super excited because first, I always bug you guys for like, show me some art, and then you show me some art, and I'm like, yeah, that's that kind of. I'm like, oh, this art is so good, and this is so cool, and then I also like, I send it to like CDPR people. Like, and like, check this out. Oh man, this art is so cool. And everybody's like, yo, this is cool. Like, what is this? I'm like, it's the TCG we're working on. Oh, that's incredible. I love this art. And even with some of the first cards that I got from you guys, I was just walking around the office showing it to people, and they were like stoked on it. So that's one part of getting excited for it. And I love like reposting all the arts that get posted and just get excited with everybody for them. But then when you get the abilities, and you start already thinking about how the abilities can influence the game, even without having like the full view in terms of the cards that are coming next, and the cards that we know, the cards that which are in the alpha kit. So you're always comparing to that, which is kind of like a base, let's say.
Of course.
But now what I'm seeing is I'm seeing more depth. I'm seeing more cool abilities. I'm also seeing possibilities for combos, which might work, might not work, but it's all part of like what we love in card games, is like this theory crafting before a set actually comes out. And since we're talking about the first set, you're kind of thinking about, okay, what's going to happen here? Like, what are the possibilities? Like, maybe there will be a card that is going to play around with this, or it would be cool if there was a card that worked with this. And then, it gets kind of the creative card gamer juices flowing. So this is always what happens. And then from my perspective, also on the, working in CDPR and knowing these characters in and out, is just seeing them again, seeing different art versions of them also gets me excited, because, I mean, you're already so used to them that every new iteration of these characters is just like, oh, this is so cool. This plays so well. And also the flavor, like I said, some of the flavor behind some of the choices for the mechanics for the cards are really cool because they play into the characters. So yeah. So all that stuff is crazy. And I think we also ended this one on a high note with Smasher, because I mean, that card is just awesome and cool and crazy. And I want to test it. I want to play it.
Yeah. You won't have too long to wait, hopefully, yes. Right? We're going to be
Can't wait.
Showing off lots more cool things soon, getting closer and closer to the Kickstarter. I believe, again, by the time this comes out, we'll have some stuff talking about our accessory partners that we're partnering with for some of our sleeves, some of our other premium accessories. So if you guys haven't seen that already, be sure to check it out. But before we let you guys go, we have
I'll say one more thing. Always double sleeve.
I know you're a double sleeve man. We brought those cards to you and you were like, oh, I can't play with no sleeves. This is awful.
I'm gonna say, for those of you that watched the Red stream, and if you haven't watched the Red stream, if you want to watch it, please watch it, because you'll see how much fun we had with the initial gameplay showcase for the game. But they told me I cannot double sleeve the cards, that I have to play the cards raw. And this took me back all the way to middle school, when I was playing my first card game on concrete, not knowing what I was doing. And I think about it now, those cards would probably be worth a lot more now if they weren't played on concrete. So
always double sleeve.
If you're a kid also getting into card games, remember double sleeve, or at least just one sleeve. Yeah.
Got you. For sure. Yeah. So last thing I want to leave you guys with is we have a little section that we want to start up here towards the end of the podcast. We're going to call this the Night City Hotline. So if you guys have any questions about Cyberpunk TCG that you want to ask myself or Burza, we will be able to, you know, sift through a couple of different comments, some queries, some questions, and we will get them lined up for future episodes. I think next week we may not be able to because we're super busy with everything that's happening for Kickstarter. But please,
which is coming very soon.
Very,
like you said,
very
2 weeks
soon.
only.
Yeah, 2 weeks away. So yeah, be sure to let us know down below in the comments, and we'll get back to you as soon as we can. So yeah.
We also want to hear all your wild theory crafting stories of how cards might interact, because for example, I love reading those, and I like kind of seeing the thought process behind card games, what they're kind of thinking about it. So let us know if you have any other questions or any suggestions about the format, anything you would like to see. Let us know. We're totally open to feedback. As you know, we on the CDPR are always open to feedback. WeirdCo has also showcased that they're also very open to feedback and stuff like that. So this kind of spans across everything that we do. Same for the podcast. If you want to let us know what you're thinking, let us know. We're here to kind of answer those questions, hear your thoughts, and of course interact, because I think we both agree we want to build a cool community around the TCG, and the community is already building. It's crazy, it's big. Shout out to everybody on Discord. I don't interact as much as I would like to there, but I see all the comments, I read the stuff, I lurk there. A lot of passion for the game there, and it's just exciting times. We're just before the launch of the Kickstarter, and I can't wait for people to just get more excited for more reveals, because spoiler season is the best season in any TCG. So
agreed.
I'm happy we get to talk about these cards and showcase them to you guys.
For sure. So yeah, before we finish up here, if you guys aren't already following us on socials, we're active on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. We do also have a Twitch page as well, so that's just twitch.tv/Cyberpunk TCG, I believe. We've even got a Twitch category, so if you guys want to, you know, have some of your own streams and discuss the game, feel free to do that. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. Myself and Burza will catch you guys in next week's episode of the Cyberdeck Podcast coming soon.
There will be more cards, for sure.